In this video, I'm going to show you how to edit and export a VOSOT, as well as the two different videos that you'll want to export in actually doing this. So we have a couple of things on screen here. One here on the left is Adobe Premiere Pro, and feel free to use whatever editing software you are using. I'm just doing this to show you how, just sort of how this should all look in the editor that you have. And I'm not going to move really quick through this stuff, or I mean through the program. It's just to show you if your timeline looks a lot like this, you're doing really well. The second thing is that if you notice here, there are two different sequences, meaning two different videos. One of them, this is for the VO. This is for the beginning of the VOSOT, the VO part of the VOSOT. This second one is, once we click into it, this is the soundbite, and then the VO continues. And if this is sounding sort of like a foreign language to you, that's okay, because this is typically the first introduction that students have to this. So to help make sense of what you're looking at here, let's hop over to the script over here. So in the basic formatting here, this looks a lot like your regular news package script that you are used to actually writing. This, however, is again a VOSOT. So we're going to start here with our anchor on cam, and the anchor just says something as simple as, a crazy way to make ice cream is also creating jobs in Arlington. Then, right after that, the technical director in the control room, because the anchor is going to read this whole story. So the technical director, the one in front of that switcher with all of those buttons, he's going to take to the video. He's going to punch a button to pull up this long sequence video that is actually, I don't know, about 54 seconds. Now, not all 54 seconds of this is going to make air, but this video allows the anchor 54 seconds to read the VO portion. And because I've already timed this out, and I will time this out with you in real time here in a moment, I bet you the anchor stops reading somewhere here right after 30 seconds, and 31 or 32 seconds in. So now looking at our script, what are the words and things that are said underneath all of this? Well, that all starts here with the take VO, and it's all of this and this. Well, I should be doing it all of this and this and this and this and this and this and this. It's going to end with the most. And I know that because the next row here, this is where the soundbite is. And this is from the owner, Raja Kanzada, who owns Rolling Ice, the ice cream shop that I'm going to introduce you to. His SOT is right here. So again, and I'm going to try to highlight this and see if Microsoft Word cooperates. Yay, awesome. All right, so all of this highlighted portion, this, the anchor reads live, and while they are doing that, the technical director rolls this video over them. Cool, so hopefully that makes sense. So as soon as the anchor stops talking here, the technical director presses a separate button to bring up this second video. This, the actual soundbite, and you can see Raja right here, his audio is right here, and then this continues to roll. Now, what you may not realize yet is, again, this is Raja saying his stuff, but in a VOSOT, there is something called a VO continues, and that is a telemarketer. Why? Because that is the home area code, meaning the crib, and this is not a number that pops up with a name. So we will decline out of there and go back to our VO continues. So right after the soundbite, this is where the anchor again says one or two quick sentences. Nothing more than that, just a little bit more of information to round out the story. And in this case, it's two simple facts that say that this way of making ice cream originally came from Thailand. And Raja will also let you roll your own. That's it. It's just something short just to round it out. Now, in terms of the production, how does that work? Well, the video that's going to go over the anchor, that is just attached here to the soundbite. So once the director rolls this, they bring up the audio on Raja. They know, because you've told them in the script, and this is getting a little bit nerdy here, the last 3 words of Raja are all my failures. So you write here in the script as a note to your director that, hey, the last couple of things that Raja is going to say is all my failures. So at that point, you know, or the audio op and the director know, to turn the audio down on Raja and to bring the anchor back up. And that way, we can hear the anchor say these last two lines while the rest of this video rolls. Now here's the thing too that I really want to point out to you, and it's something that we're doing here, and it's also something that clearly we've done here. And that is adding a little bit more video than what you think you need. And you do that just in case something happens in the newscast beyond anybody's control, and somehow the technical director is distracted from the actual newscast. Maybe the producer has their attention and they're going to float stories in the rundown. They're going to cancel a story and replace it with something new. Or they're going to do what's called floating a story. Take a story coming up next right away and move that 5 or 6 stories down. You can do it and you can do it quickly, but it takes a lot of communication. The producer has to tell the director, and then the director has to inform some of the other crew, the audio op, if there is still somebody rolling tape. There are other people that have to know that these changes are being made. That takes energy, that takes focus, and if that's going on, sometimes the director will forget to listen for these last 3 words of Raja, or, in here, they may not be listening that the anchor stopped talking here. So the anchor says, but it's those he values the most. And because the director's distracted by solving a real problem, they never, or are very, very late in punching up the second video, the soundbite. In punching up the second video, the soundbite. So in this case, it's great that we have probably, we're at 32 here. What does this go to? This goes to about 54. So we've got 22 seconds of extra video. So this video just rolls, and hopefully at that point, the director has actually run the second SOT. They've clicked what they needed to. They've gone into that, and the SOT rolls, and then this rolls. So all this is just insurance. And here with Raja, we've got Raja's soundbite. We've got the VO continues. This takes maybe 5 seconds to say. So we've got a lot more than 5 seconds here. And in fact, I'm going to play this for you live and also read live. Actually, you know what? Let's just play the whole SOT because I'll show you how it's done.
I failed more than I've succeeded, but every time that I succeeded outweighs all my failures.
This way of making ice cream is originally from Thailand. Raja will also let you roll your own. And by now, the technical director has moved on to the next story. They've popped the anchors back up, or they've gone to a reporter. There's a whole different script that they are working off of right now, because obviously we are at the end of this particular one. So again, I hope that this all makes sense. I'm going to go through a few tweaky stuff now, just in case, because some people watching this will move on to a university course, or perhaps you're already there and you're working in a newsroom. So here are some tweaky things that I want to share with you just real quick, that if you do them, you're going to come off as pro. So as you see here, we have about 15 frames of Raja where there is no audio. Then all of a sudden his audio comes in here. This is what you call beginning pad or handles. And because most video is double clicked and run off of an actual server nowadays, as opposed to tape and what we'll now call the old days, having some pad on the front end isn't necessarily required anymore, because you're not pressing the play button on the tape deck. You're not waiting for the tape to just roll and then take it and then it actually hit air. When a technical director double clicks the clip, it instantly usually plays. But I still stay in the habit of giving 15 frames of nothing just in case. And because of that, when we play this back, you're going to hear a little bit of, not necessarily a click, but a sharpness to Raja's audio.
I failed more than I've succeeded, but every time that I succeed, it outweighs all my failures.
And you might not have been able to hear it. You kind of got to train yourself to hear it. But what I'm going to do here is show you how to get rid of that. So you're going to come right to where your audio starts. Put your playhead there. You're going to highlight your audio. If you're in Premiere Pro, you're going to go to Effects Control. And what you're going to want is the volume. So make sure that caret is down there. You're going to come to level, and you're going to make a keyframe. Then what you're going to do is, in this window or this window, doesn't matter which one, you're going to press the right arrow key and move one frame to the right. You will hit your keyframe again. You will hit this arrow here to go back to the previous keyframe, and you're going to bring 0 all the way down to negative 287.5, or you can type in minus 287.5. This is complete silence to Premiere Pro, and what we did is we just added a really quick sort of 2-frame dissolve in the audio. So his audio is smoother than by not having it. I'm going to zoom out here a little bit, and we'll listen to it again.
I failed more than I've succeeded, but every time that I succeed, it outweighs all my failures.
And there you go. Again, you kind of got to train yourself to hear the edges of your audio, but the more that you edit this, the more that you edit packages, you're going to understand exactly what I just did here. So all right, and again here, this 15 frames, that also equals half a second. When you think of video on TV, or even lots of video online, typically 30 frames equal 1 second. It's a little bit different when you go and see a movie in a movie theater. Those just simply happen to be 24 frames a second. Now, is there a lot of content online that was shot for a movie or documentaries or whatnot at 24 frames a second and then put online on YouTube or Vimeo or Facebook or wherever? Of course there is. The only importance here is that you know that there are 2 ways to count to 1 second in video, and that is either 30 frames or 24. Teaching you anything more would be taking you far into the weeds, and I would probably lose everybody watching this video incredibly quickly. If you're really interested, that is something to YouTube or certainly Google on your own. So now you may be asking yourself, well, Andrew, how in the world do you know how long this is and how much video to put into here? Well, you actually read this through and you use the stopwatch on your phone, or if you go to Google and Google stopwatch there, you can find one. Now, in the real world, professionally, you're going to want the anchor, whoever is going to read this, to read it for you so you get an idea of what their cadence is. But again, if all you have access to is yourself, if the anchor hasn't come in yet, or they're doing something else, or they're doing promos, again, read it out yourself and just always pad out your VO with more than enough video. If you have enough pad, it doesn't matter how fast or slow the anchor reads, there will always be video on the air. All right, so let's time this out to see how long this is. Take a look at this. You're watching employees at Rolling Ice off of West Park Row and Highway 157 do just that. Owner Raja Kanzada is in his early 20s and opened this just a year and a half ago. He saw this magic of putting cream on a frozen plate set at negative 24 degrees Fahrenheit and decided to start all of this, employing more than 5 people. His family moved here from Pakistan when he was 7 years old. He started his first business selling pizzas a year later at 8 years old. He's had many others since. Some are still going, others aren't, but it's those he values the most. Sweet, so I've got about 46 seconds. I did pause here because I lost myself in my own writing between this line and that line, so you could probably subtract 1 or 2 seconds from here, but let's work with the 46 that we know that I've done. So 46 seconds brings us here. Awesome. So if the anchor reads 46 seconds, we have 46, 254, sweet. There is 8 seconds of extra video. 8 to 10 seconds of extra video on anything is a lifetime in television, so that's really good, because if the anchor slowed down somewhere or slowed down in 2 places, that's more than enough time. So you can see here how you do this just to prepare for every contingency. And also too, you do the exact same thing for the anchor VO continues here. And as always, if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out.